Hello and welcome back to another episode of InteSoul Leadership, where we talk about all those things concerning leaders to support them, to elevate them, to help them be able to serve, not them, to help you serve better, to help you show up in a stronger way, also to confirm you and affirm you in your spaces, because leadership is not for the faint at heart. Let's just say that. It's not for the faint at heart at all. And kudos to you for showing up in this space, for saying yes when someone said you have that leadership capability. And even if you went trembling in your boots or you went confidently and had your ideas turned around and maybe not, but you're here today and we're so excited about it. We're glad about it. I am so excited to have Dr. Carrie Graham with me today. We go way back, and it's just so ironic how we met, and then we kept in contact. So you never know how you're going to meet somebody and what they will mean to you in your life. She's helped me in my business over the years, and I want to introduce you to her organization, which is called Carrie Graham Learning and Solutions. And today, lean in, because here's what we're talking about. Keep cutting those training budgets. Go ahead. Like my grandma said, go right ahead with your big bad self. Go ahead. Keep cutting them. Have at it. Because there is a consequence to your actions, right? So the training guru is here. Carrie, thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Oh, Yvette, thank you so much. And, you know, it is a testament to just being kind and friendly to people, even on a bus trip. That's how we met, like even on a bus trip.
Right.
But yes, we've been able to support one another over the years, and I'm so incredibly thankful. And I am so excited to have this conversation when leaders continue to cut the budgets, to cut the training budgets, right? And when we were talking in preparation for our conversation, we both heard our grandmother's voice, our mother's voice. Keep on. We'll show you better than we could tell you. You will learn. Keep on. So yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation.
Absolutely. And the training budget, we get it. We are leaders. We are CEOs of organizations. We get it. When things get tough, you have to find dollars somewhere. But we have to be wise in what we're doing. So we cannot live just in the moment and what seems easy right now. Sometimes we have to look beyond where we are and see what's the repercussion of this decision that I'm making. Decision making is a critical component of leadership, right? So let's talk about, we're focusing on the training dollars, what that means. Can you share with our listeners what's the criticality in an organization even setting a training budget?
Yeah. So I encourage leaders and decision makers to think about the people of their organization. And so often organizations have a mission statement or some element of their mission that says, oh, we value people. We value our people. And you should. However, when you cut a training budget, what the message you're sending, and it is a resoundingly clear message that you send to these people that you claim you care about, is that they're not good enough to invest in. And when you cut training budgets for your, let's say, entry-level team, or, you know, individuals who are not at the management and C-suite level, you now have created an even greater divide, because what the message that you are saying and implicating is that we're willing to spend money and invest at the top, whereas everyone else, you know, figure it out on your own or make do with what you have. That if a business is struggling with trust, internal trust, if they're struggling with turnover, disengagement, the research that I've looked at and the work that I've gleaned from experts that do that level of statistics, it would suggest that it can make a tie back to training. And are businesses and organizations willing to invest in their people? And so, when we look at the bottom line, absolutely, we got, like you said, Yvette, we got to find money from somewhere. But I caution people to turn to the training budget and have that be the number one place that you consistently take money from.
And as you were talking, as a change management professional, organizations are going through change all the time, but at such an accelerated level. And I know the most successful changes that I've helped organizations lead through was because we also established a training and communication strategy that helped people understand what we're not doing anymore and what we are doing, right? And to help them get so acclimated with what we are now doing that they don't want to go back to the old.
Right.
Because if we don't help people change the mindset of what it is that we're going to do going forward, then they will default to what they know and what they're most comfortable with. And so training is not just about a new idea, but it's also critical to the transitions that everyone is going through, not just because it's forced on you, but you're reacting to the marketplace, right?
Right.
And so,
Yvette, I'm so happy you said that. I am so happy you mentioned the change management element, because you're right. And for all the reasons that you identified, oftentimes people think about training and development through the lens of bringing new people on, but in terms of hires. And often what they forget is exactly what you're saying. We've got a merger, we've got an acquisition, and we need to shift in our practice. We need to shift in our belief system. And even if a organization is going through a restructuring and the leadership identifies a new vision for the company, that also needs to be an element of training and the larger training strategy. And so that's the work that I do, focuses on strategy. So it's not just the short-term win, but the long-term gain, right? Yeah. So it's short-term win, long-term gain. And it matters. It matters. One of the things that I find that people invest in when it comes to training is they'll invest in the onboarding, but they'll spend a lot of money on two other things, on technology, and ultimately it's the trendy thing. And for us right now, it's not trending, but it is AI. Right. And the other part of it that they invest in is the system, right? Like organizations will, and I've had businesses come to me and say, well, we've invested in this learning management system, and now we have to create a training. Like, part of your strategy should be, what are the priorities, and focus on the priorities as opposed to simply spending money, because AI should be a supplement or a complement. Right. As well as your LMS or your management system. It shouldn't be your starting point.
Right. And as you're talking about that, it's like leaders sometimes forget about the behavior changes you want. Yeah. Right. So we see this vision, we want to move in this direction in the marketplace. Technology, you engage the technology teams because you need systems to support it and everything. But one of the main questions we ask as change leadership professionals is, what's the behavior changes that you expect? Because if you don't address that, people still approach even the new like they did the old, right? So it's a difficult thought process sometimes for even some most senior leaders to say, what do you mean? I still want them to sell, right? Yeah,
Right.
okay. Well,
Right.
what's the messaging around that now
Right.
that we're in this space? And so, to your point, there's so many levels of the training, which is why we need strategy, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just, oh, we're moving this way. We need systems. We know we have workflow changes, but what about all the messaging and the behavior changes that we now have to help our folks get in line with? So
Yeah.
can you talk to us more about the strategy, how we even, and I know we're going to touch on this. So if you're enjoying this so far, stay with us, because when I was talking to my friend, Dr. Carrie, I was like, we can do a podcast on this. We can do an episode on that. And so as we roll out of 2024, we're going to really talk about this, because we're only as strong as our foundation.
Yes.
And our foundation is based on the people and how well we equip our people and make sure that all of the right intricacies of all that we need is in place. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit more. I know we're going to talk deeper in about strategy in another episode, but just so everybody understands, what do you mean by training strategy?
Yeah. So I knew that this was where our conversation was going, and I could feel like partly my blood pressure rising, like, oh, I'm about to get on my soapbox. But
Let me help you up. Let me help you up.
Like I'm gonna try to maintain some composure, but drive the point home without like standing up and banging. So one of the things that you mentioned, and it leads into training development strategy, is changing people's mindset, and let me not use the word mindset, belief systems within the organization. And what I find, every client I've ever worked with, and even like my 30 years of working in industry, what I have found is trainings have a tendency to lead and focus on two things: the content and the person delivering the content. Right?
Right.
So like we all know it, right? It's, oh, we're going to bring in a big voice to speak, the person. Oh, we've got all this information, we're going to give it to you, slap some AI funness on it. And where's the person in that, all of that?
Right.
At what point did someone stop and say, let's talk about the people? So that's when I am, when I think about, and when I talk about a training strategy, I am an advocate for, first and foremost, starting with the audience. Who is that user? Who are they? And not simply demographic information or job title information, but what all do they bring to the table as a learner, from a generational perspective, from their own belief systems? Are they transitioning into a new role? Are they preparing for, like, just holding on for 5 years till they retire? Are they starting their career? Right? Like, oftentimes developers don't give consideration to who the people are. They pay attention to what they are, but not.
Yeah, and if I could just jump in there real quick, not only that, but what has their experience been in that space that you're now getting ready to do some training around? That's critical. Because too often people come in and assume they don't know anything. I'm coming in with all the answers. And these people live it every day, day in and day out. They have been in the trenches holding you up in that space. So I apologize for interrupting. That was something I just had to throw out there.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. You have to give consideration to their experiences. And that when people think about, oh, well, how we're going to end up having, leadership, we're going to end up having to cut the budget. No. Here's how one of the ways, right? It's a cumulative effort, savings. If you know for a fact, you've done your due diligence, and you know for a fact that you've got really seasoned and seniored individuals that are about to attend your training, in addition to people new to the organization, new in their career, new in their experience, why not provide an opportunity for the
Yeah.
senior individuals to share their wisdom, whether it's a challenge that they've had, whether it's, this path is the successful thing to do, and provide those new individuals an opportunity to share an outside perspective, right? That is one way you've now got an engaged
Oh my God.
audience because they're talking to one another, talking about themselves.
Yeah.
And you, as the facilitator, you don't have to do anything. But by listening to that conversation, you're able to glean, oh, so while we thought we were going to have to start with this piece of content, what we really need to start with is what they're talking about. And
Absolutely.
that is how you get the biggest bang for your buck. And so you don't, it's not constantly reinvesting in more opportunities to create content or hiring, paying someone to come in and speak, but
Right.
use what you have. And I guarantee when you start making these small but strategic changes, they make a huge impact.
And that's what makes the difference between somebody feeling like something's being done to them as opposed to something's being done for
That's,
them.
that's it.
Right?
That's it.
Because now I'm intricately involved in the
Mhm.
process and the delivery and how we make this shift. And
Right.
that's a whole lot different than I already know this job. I've been asking for these changes for a while, but you done brought Susie May, and
Yep.
forgive me if Susie May is out
Right.
there. I love you, Susie.
Right.
Uh, but you done brought somebody in who one
Right.
doesn't know our company, who hasn't doesn't know our clients, and we're consultants, so we're saying yes. We
Right.
understand that you need that sometimes that neutral voice, but
Right.
not to the exclusion of the
Yes.
experts that are sitting right in your
Right.
building.
Right. Right. And when it comes to the strategy, right? So your strategy is the roadmap. And it's not simply do this, do A, B, C, and D, but rather a comprehensive strategy is one that will prepare you when bumps in the road. Things that you may not anticipate, you may not see on the horizon, but you're
Mm.
prepared for them. One of the things when I say that, I think of a story of a client that came to me and she was doing a presentation on a really small scale. She was doing a presentation, and I said, now look, she was in a content area that I knew nothing about, but I understand training. And
Mhm.
so I said, now look, you're going to present this information. You have to give people time to think. So you got to be okay with silence. Like I promise you, you just have to be okay with it. Okay, Carrie, okay. She was doing this training for 2 days. The first day she came back, she was like, yeah, I couldn't wait. I was just so nervous. I just let it. I'm like, and how did that work for you? How did that work for you? And she's like, I kind of stumbled through the next couple minutes. And I'm like, well, it's because you didn't give them the people an opportunity to process what you were sharing. I said, try it again the second day. I said, just be uncomfortable. She tries it the second day. She comes back and she's like, there were so many questions that I wasn't nervous anymore about, are they going to view me as the expert? Because they were asking me questions that I knew. And I was like,
Mm.
that's because pausing and giving people time was part of your strategy.
Mm.
And so it can be something as simple as that, or to what you and I were just talking about, Yvette, where it's provide your people space and time to
Mhm.
share what
Mhm.
their current experience is.
Let me ask you this question. We've been in an organization, I'm an organization, I've been in existence forever, according to some, what, let's say that. Is there a time when it's too late or too soon to develop a training strategy?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's ever too late. And the reason I say that is if you run, if you conduct an annual SWOT analysis
Hmm.
of any aspect of your business, but that's something you're committed to, then you need to be equally committed to doing a training strategy. Because ultimately what it's going to do is it's going to reveal what are the things that are working well, where are some gaps, where are places that we can fill in those gaps. And then if there's something that, may be a bump in the road, do we have control over that or don't we? And, how can we move forward? And so I wouldn't say from a business perspective. Now, there are people, that are like 1 year into to retirement. And, I sadly, I think the inclination is, if they don't show up, whatever, right?
Not a
Like,
flight risk, right?
right. Like, let them sit in the back and drink their coffee and whatever, right? That's a lost opportunity. I really
Absolutely.
view that as a lost opportunity. Those individuals, first off, when they retire or exit your organization, they are going to take a wealth of knowledge that you probably did not capitalize on. So that's the
Right.
first thing. When we think about cost, you're allowing it to walk out the door freely. Shame on you as a leader. And so that's an opportunity for you to glean as much information from them, provide them, space, connection, opportunity to share, to be a part of your onboarding experience, to be a part of your promotion process, right? Like, I'm not going to identify where I experienced this, but in my 30 years, right, I've been, and I'm sure others can say that we've been a part of organizations where we look at the manager and we think, how in the world
Hmm.
did this individual get placed into this position? Oh, is it only because they've been here forever?
Right.
Because they are not equipped, right? That's an opportunity for training. We all know it's more expensive to bring people to hire from externally versus to promote from within. But do you have a pipeline program? Are you training people from the minute they enter your organization in their leadership skills? Or are you just saving your leadership skills dollars for the executives? Like, it makes no
Oh,
sense.
you are speaking my now. You look. You done pulled me up on the soapbox because that never made sense to me. We wait until we put somebody in a leadership role, and then
Yes.
we start training them on leadership.
Yes.
What?
Yes. And that is when we need them the most. We put them there because they are vital to our success as
Right.
an organization. Well, why didn't that start when they first signed the paperwork to join the
Right.
organization? And even if you have a junior leadership
Mm-hmm.
organization, right? Like, there's so much criticism about millennials, Gen Zs, soon to be alphas, and work ethic and expectations. Well, what that may exist, but what are you doing as a corporate leader to shift that narrative within your organization? You can't shift it out
Right.
external to your organization. What are you doing? Well, having
Yeah.
a training, like a long-term training pipeline, is how you do that.
Right. And so there's two things you mentioned that I really want to comment on. One is the seniors and so I want to give kudos to an organization I was a part of.
Mhm.
And as coming out of that organization, it was at the height of the whole great resignation and everything. And so someone had the brilliancy to say, we need to capitalize and grab some of this knowledge that's leaving. And so they started a program where they would interview the senior leaders, the seniors, and the folks who with the most experience, because
Yep.
that's what I mean by senior. I don't. Please, I don't mean senior by age,
Right.
not at all.
Right.
But they started interviewing, and so they actually asked me and started talking to me about, tell us what you know about this. What should someone else know about? What has your experience been? What's your interaction been? And they literally captured it on like a knowledge map type thing,
Yep.
and there were some videos associated with it and all that kind of stuff. I was like, yes, now everything that I've had, and of course it was specific to the role that I was in
Right.
at the time, and
Right.
I've had other roles throughout the or throughout my experience, but at least there was an attempt to say, at this latest point, let's capture what she knows so that it can live on as a legacy and we can build upon it as opposed to starting from scratch.
Right. Now,
Um,
I have to say that if we just take a moment and think about dollars,
right,
the resources that it took to create that time and space and
right.
experience for people who are exiting, and the wealth that it
Mm,
retains within the organization versus letting it all walk out the door,
right,
and now you're tasked with hiring, staffing organizations to do external hires for you, getting those people up to speed. Some of them will then turn right around and leave your organization. And so, they weren't a good fit or whatever. Like, look at the cost
right.
in that regard. And so as we opened, you keep on doing what you've been doing, or you can choose to use your training dollars in a way that is strategic. It's
Yeah, and the second point I wanted to make was, um, this is why I've added to my services, mentoring, helping organizations create mentorship,
Mhm.
because I've run into so many organizations who want it. They just have not been able to create a sustaining
Yes.
mentorship, of
Yes.
course, because people are doing 3 and 4 jobs now. And so how do I maintain this mentorship thing? And so I have a model where I can help train the organizations to create their own,
Yeah.
or we can create, where we're doing it for you, mentoring and things like that. So, because you were saying, why don't we connect these people instead of letting them go cross and bypass each other? Let's connect them so
Right.
that we can share. And the brilliance that comes out of when, oh, this is what we've done and this is why, and then that younger person or that newer person say, really, well, did you guys ever think about this? Did you guys ever think about that? And it's like, no, we didn't. And so now all this innovation and creativity comes from this now cross pollination of people who've been seasoned in that space
Yeah.
versus people who are new in the space. Because you could be new in the space but seasoned in the
Absolutely.
industry, right?
Absolutely.
So this has
And
been
the thing, and Yvette, the thing that you're talking about costs nothing. It
nothing.
costs nothing.
A
Create,
cup of coffee, they're over lunch and they're doing that
yeah,
anyway.
right. If that, or even if you're in meetings, right, and you know that it's a division meeting or department meeting. Hey, let's just tack on 5 minutes at the beginning of our agenda. Just take a minute, say hello, right? Like, some of those connections will happen on their own, but at least start the ball rolling, because that is part of a comprehensive strategy. It's so important.
This has been so good. Just like I knew. I kept telling Dr. Carrie, this is going to be so much fun.
Look,
This
it,
is going
it
to be
is.
so much fun.
It is. The
And
funny thing, wait, Yvette, the funny thing is here we are. We've been on the soapbox twice, right? Like, we've been up there, we've settled back down, and we both know somebody has heard this conversation and they're gonna keep on doing what they've been doing.
come on, wake
They-
it up, wake it up. So we at least want a 90% increase in turn or something. Come on. So, but we're going to leave you with what we've heard our grandmas and our moms say: keep it
keep
up,
on, keep on.
keep it up. And we don't want you to keep it up. We want you to be true to your word, be true to your integrity, but most importantly, be true to your vision
Yes.
and
Yes.
what you're building and what you're creating and how you're serving your clientele. Be true to them. Be
Yep.
true to your reputation. Be true to your legacy that you want to leave. Be true to what all the people who came before you spent so much time doing and building and everything. Be true to that by
Right.
continuing to build up and fortify. That's
Mm-hmm.
really it. Fortify your organization with enhancing and improving and allowing your people to create in a safe space that
Yes.
is cultured and where they know not only can I try it, but I can learn. I
That's
can
it.
learn.
That's it.
So we're going to come back, um, I think, in December. Well, we're going to come back with other episodes. I don't even want to put a date on this.
Right. We're
Um,
coming back. We're
we're
coming.
coming back. And the next time we come back, it'll be about strategy. But before we leave, I want Dr. Carrie to share with you how you can find her, the services that some of the services she provides, who's her ideal client, and so that now when you're planning, and I know a lot of organizations have gone through planning for 2025, but it's never too late
It's
to
never
adjust.
late. Never.
And we
Yeah.
know everybody has plans to adjust. You have that cushion.
Yeah.
So, where can they find you? What services are you providing so that those who have heard the message and heard their grandma in their ears too, saying, "Oh, maybe I need to heed the voice of
Yeah.
the wise, those that have been wise in my life," and
Mhm.
say, "No, we
Yeah.
need to at least look at it
At least.
to
At least.
consider how we can adjust or where we need to adjust."
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Yvette, for having me and the opportunity to share the thing that I'm most passionate about, and it's establishing a clear and comprehensive training strategy for your organization. When we think about where people can find me, Dr. Carrie Graham, CarrieGraham.com. Dr. Carrie Graham, all of my information is there, and you're also able to send me a message there as well. But when we think about, is it too late, right? It's November, end of year 2024 right now. If you've got something in place, if you're thinking about putting something in place and not sure where to start, an audit, a training alignment audit is a great place to start. And I offer that. It's a phone call away, depending on the size of your organization. We start off with 90 minutes. But it's a great opportunity to get a bird's eye view and expert insight on where are some of the gaps, where are some opportunities to shore up that foundation. So there's that. And if you are looking for a more comprehensive, leaded and guided experience for your L&D team, that is also a service that I offer as a consultant, and I'm happy to come into your organization or support your organization remotely. And we go from the very first conversation, which is about your people, in the audit, all the way through implementation. And it is, I don't want to be the person that leaves people hanging, right?
Mm.
And so I my grandmother, I can't speak to other people's grandmothers. My grandmother never left me hanging, right? And that is a lesson that I've taken from her, and I've watched my mother never leave people hanging, and that is in me. And so if you reach out, I'm with you. We're going to do this audit, whether it's one time and that's all you need, or if you need someone to work with you, I got you. I got you.
And follow Dr. Carrie on LinkedIn, because sometimes we need to see receipts. And
Yes.
when I just watch her, how people interact with her, they're always saying wonderful things about her, how she's helped them, and it's just consistent. It's not like, here or there, hit or miss. So if you need receipts, if
Yeah.
you need to see the proof, follow her on LinkedIn. Check her out. Connect with her on LinkedIn. She is the real deal. And I hope you can hear her heart into what she's offering. So thank you for coming.
Thank
Oh.
you for having me. It's the first. You gotta come back. You guys gotta come back. And bring a beverage, right? Like, I don't know what time you're watching it. So if you need coffee, you might, if you're at work, turn your volume down because we're going to get into it. We are
Right.
going to get into it.
Absolutely. We are no holds barred. We are making sure that you really understand the true essence of
Yes.
what we're bringing. And so we will see you next time. Thanks a lot. We just love you.